So I just finished reading this book about the carnivore diet. This one right here by Sean Baker. I've heard a lot of things about the carnivore diet over the last several months/years, and it's always been something that I was kind of interested in. I've always been drawn to like simple things and making things very simple, even though it's often really not practical for me as a person. Also, I have celiac disease and I have to watch what I eat. I can't eat anything that has gluten in it or like wheat flour because it will cause my intestines to start attacking themselves and then I won't be able to absorb any nutrients. But also at the same time, my wife thinks that I have like maybe a dairy intolerance and also a corn intolerance. And also I'm pretty sure that I'm sensitive to things like plastics or like microplastics. And so I was thinking that the carnivore diet might be a nice way to just eliminate everything from my diet except for one very specific thing. And then after I've been on it for a couple weeks, I could add in some different foods and see how they affect my body. So I was kind of already intending to give it a shot. But then I read the book and I suddenly had all these questions. So I'm going to look into the questions that I had. First of all, though, if you're not familiar with the carnivore diet, it's like just meat, basically. And you can throw some eggs in there too, but like fish. I don't know what offal is. What is that? Organ meats, maybe? Eggs, poultry. Wow, this is a really poor list. So basically, if it was an animal, you can eat it. Not necessarily animal products like low lactose dairy. If you look at the people, the Sean Baker guy, let's look at his face. The Sean Baker guy. Is there a picture of him that's just normal? I don't want to see you thinking you're jacked. Let's look at this one. This is the guy that wrote the book I just read. So he feels like humans are carnivores and that our bodies aren't really evolved to eat any kind of plants. Like if he feels like if we were evolved to eat plants, it's like a very, very small amount. And he points to a lot of different like tribes of people that eat only meat. He points to these tribes in like, well, these are showing like African tribes. He mainly references like Inuit tribes or people that live in the cold, like Mongolian people eat a lot of meat. So I just want to look into it a little bit. I want to like, because I've heard a lot of people say a lot of things, and this guy especially said a lot of things about how great the carnivore diet is. But I just want to, I just want to poke around, investigate. So that's what we're gonna do. There's this Harvard Health article right here. Let's look at that and see what happens to start. What is the carnivore diet? So this is published by Harvard Health, which you would think would be a good source. Although the problem with a lot of the things that he says in his book is that like you can't trust the establishment, sort of. Like he says that a lot of the things that we've been told as just like humans about our diet and about what we should be eating, what we should not be eating has just been wrong. It doesn't seem like he's making the case that we've been intentionally lied to, but it does seem to be the case that he feels like the established people, like the doctors and all the people in authority for like diet, have been given a party line and then have been worried that they're going to get ousted or rejected from society if they don't say the party line. So that's what has kind of continued this cycle of dietitians and doctors being like, you need to eat your vegetables, you need to have this much fiber in your diet. So, which I kind of agree with him to a certain extent about that. I think the party line gets quoted a little too much, even when people don't know the full story. So it makes it hard for me to trust MDs who I feel like are just going to keep saying the party line and not, especially if they're MDs that aren't dietitians and have like learned a tiny bit in medical school about like what you should be eating. I'm rambling, so I'll try to get into let's get into it. So what it is, only allows consumption of meat, poultry, eggs, seafood, fish, tiny bit of dairy, and water. Exclude all vegetables, fruits, grains, legumes, seeds, and nuts. It's a type of keto, which I should probably look at what keto is, because Sean Baker referenced the keto diet too. Ketogenic diet. Keto basics. Very low carb, high fat diet. Drastically reducing carbohydrate intake and replacing it with fat puts your body into a metabolic state called ketosis. Your body becomes incredibly efficient at burning fat for energy. It also turns ketones in the liver. Okay, you're not really telling me what it is though. Okay, what do you eat on the keto diet? Standard. Okay, so there's a bunch of different versions. Standard, cyclical, targeted, high protein. Why are they giving percentages? This part typically contains 70% fat, 20% protein, and 10% carbs. Why are they giving me percentages? Am I supposed to be keeping track of the percentage of the food that I'm eating if I want to be on this diet? Also this one, ratio 60, 35, 5. Well, that's not happening. Also, my wife is a pretty strong advocate for the anti-fat loss community. Kind of just the idea that like diets are really bad for everyone because they just train your body to resist for like a couple weeks or months or however long you're on the diet, and then once you stop doing the diet you relapse and then you gain more weight than you lost in the first place because you were treating your body so poorly on the diet. Okay, so they're not going to give us types of foods you can eat. So basically it's a high protein, low carb diet, which I don't even know what carbs are, which is ridiculous. I know it's kind of absolutely ridiculous for me to admit that, but it's the truth. Okay, what is ketosis? So this is interesting because I've heard lots of stuff about ketosis. Metabolic state in which your body uses fat for fuel instead of carbs. So normally your body uses glucose or sugar to give your cells energy, but protein can also convert into glucose. So if you want to determine whether or not you've entered ketosis, you can measure the amount of ketones produced by your body. To summarize, I think I already said all this. Okay, well, you've explained nothing. You're the worst, Healthline. Okay, I don't care if it can help you lose weight or not. Is the keto diet good for people who with diabetes and prediabetes? This is actually something I heard about the carnivore diet, is that it's good for people with diabetes, what Sean Baker said. Although, so take that with a grain of salt. Keto diet improved insulin sensitivity by a whopping 75%. I don't know if that's good or not. So diabetes is characterized by changes in metabolism, high blood sugar, and impaired insulin. Keto diet can help you lose excess fat, which is closely linked to type 2 diabetes. A small study found that women following the keto diet for 90 days significantly reduced levels of hemoglobin A1C, which is a measure of long-term blood sugar management. Okay, so basically, in theory, yes, the keto diet can lead to health benefits for people with type 2 diabetes or prediabetes. Although I feel like I've heard, like, everything I've heard about type 2 diabetes is it's mostly like health related, physical health related. Like if you're overweight or you're not in good shape or you're not eating healthy things, then that can contribute. So if your diet are you just trying to say that your diet, changing your diet can help? And if you improve your diet and add in less like processed things and more vegetables or more like healthy foods, is that going to help you with that type 2 diabetes? I don't know. Okay, sorry. Rabbit hole. Back to carnivore diet. This is saying that the body burns fat that creates ketones as the energy source. So I'm assuming that they're saying that the body will burn the fat inside of your body to create these ketones. So what I'm wondering is, can ketones be produced from the fat on the meat that you eat? The AI thinks it can. Okay, too far down the rabbit hole. Let me finish this. A carnivore diet is the most keto diet because it allows for almost no carbs. Fat content is not specified. It is whatever fat is contained in or consumed along with meat, fish, poultry, or dairy, which honestly I feel like is very attractive. The fact that you have to measure the amount of food that you're taking in seems like a bad idea, like a recipe for failure to me. Who has the time for that? But for some reason, this article seems like it's pro keto or like in favor of the keto diet, but not in favor of the carnivore diet. So they're saying that the keto diet can help the intake of healthier mono or polyunsaturated fats, but with animal fat on the carnivore diet, it's mostly saturated fat, which is the unhealthiest type of fat because it raises LDL levels of cholesterol, which I feel like that it should be pretty obvious that that isn't the case. If you're eating meat, our bodies are designed to eat meat and food, and fat is like a super common part of food. Like just go back 2,000 years to, I mean, we're still civilized, but we're eating meat. We're not like nobody is skinning all that fat off of the meat. Like the fat is the good stuff, right? I think we can all agree the fat is some of the best parts of the meat. So why would that be the unhealthiest type of fat? That makes no sense. So the disadvantages of all keto diets is that they tend to raise LDL cholesterol levels in both the short and long term. Other long terms about keto, especially the carnivore diet, include the increased risk of kidney stones, gout, and osteoporosis, which is the density of your bones being sad. Also can lead to impaired kidney function and kidney stones. Because keto induces the body to burn fats, it can jumpstart a weight loss program, but I would never recommend a carnivore diet for this purpose. I feel like seems like vaguely contradictory. Like it seems like this guy is just throwing out terms that he's been told. Maybe this is just my rebelling against authority, the little rebel in me speaking, but I don't love all of these things he's saying. So what the heck are mono and polysaturated fats? What the heck is LDL cholesterol? Actually, I take it back. I don't have time to do this. I'll be back tomorrow and we can look into it. And we're off. Okay, let's check out heart.org. That looks like it could be reliable. Lower your LDL. Okay, this keeps talking about the bad cholesterol. If there's bad cholesterol, is there good cholesterol? I don't know anything about cholesterol. Let me look into it for a second. Cholesterol explained. Johns Hopkins Medicine. Here we go. Cholesterol in the blood. Got a fun little poor resolution figure here. Got your HDL, good cholesterol, and the LDL, bad cholesterol. I guess cholesterol is these tiny little fat balls in the blood vessel. So cholesterol is a fat-like waxy substance that helps your body make cell membranes. It comes from two sources, the foods that you eat and your liver. Your liver makes all the cholesterol your body needs. So the foods that you eat is just giving you extra. So there's the two different lipoproteins, which are the little spherical particles in your blood. There are low density lipoproteins and high density lipoproteins. The low density ones are the bad ones. Bad! You want your LDL, your low density, to be below 70 milligrams per deciliter. And the good ones should be around 50 milligrams per deciliter. Okay, so this is not, I feel like the connotation when they say bad cholesterol is that you don't want any. Like it's no good, get that crap out of your system. But they're saying they want it to be below this level, which means at a certain level it's good, right? Like you need it at a certain level. Healthy blood cholesterol levels. According to the American Heart Association, about 95 million American adults have a total blood cholesterol level of 200 milligrams per deciliter and higher. Is it the good ones or the bad ones? And about this many adults have a level of 240 or higher. You've given me no context for your statistics, sir. I don't know how many Americans there are in the US. I don't know, are these the LDL, like the bad cholesterol levels or the good cholesterol levels? Is this just cholesterol levels in general? Triglycerides, another fat class in the bloodstream. Okay, so it said that the liver, that your body is getting these bad cholesterol levels from your liver or from, it said that you're getting cholesterol from your food and your liver. So does the liver produce the bad cholesterol levels? Does the liver produce LDL cholesterol? I feel like this might be too much of a side quest, and I don't feel like I'm really going to get... the problem with this is, like, you have to kind of know what you're talking about, because I feel like if I search one way, I'm going to get the party line, and if I search the other way, I'm going to get the pro-carnivore diet people who are, like, just all in and want to tell me all the facts about how it's great for you. Let's go back to what is this fun thing. Did we cover this whole article? Increased risk of kidney stones, gout, and osteoporosis. Okay, let me look. Let's try this one. All you need to know about the carnivore diet. Okay, I can't remember if I said this yesterday, but in the Sean Baker book that I read, he talks a lot about how like health issues were eliminated by people who started this diet. He doesn't say outright that he feels like it's a miracle cure, but it kind of feels, the way he talks about it, it kind of feels like it's a miracle cure-all, like it's the greatest gift to humans since the dawn. So, and these people are saying that no studies support that the carnivore diet can help eliminate any health issues. Which, do any studies support anything about the carnivore diet? Okay, the carnivore diet consists entirely of meat, yada yada. What is it? Mentions Sean Baker. There was a study Sean Baker asked people to fill out, or he asked them to fill out a survey on their eating habits, and the respondents reported satisfaction and beneficial effects. However, nutrition experts raised concerns. The study did not include any way to check the accuracy of the health information submitted by the respondents. The results should be interpreted with caution. I think that's bogus. Do any nutrition surveys or like studies have any way to fact check what the participants are saying? I think it's unlikely unless they're in like a room. See, this is the problem with nutrition. Unless you put your participants in a room and don't let them do anything else except for eat like these specific foods, you cannot control for what is actually happening nutrition-wise because there are too many variables. People are complicated. You heard foods to eat on the carnivore diet, foods to avoid, basically everything. Can it help you to lose weight? I do not care about weight loss. Benefits. Due to limited research, so they make an interesting point here. Due to the removal of highly processed carbohydrates in the carnivore diet, you might see some early benefits, such as improved blood pressure, reduced belly fat, improved cardiovascular health. Whether these benefits are long-lasting, however, is less clear. I feel like, here's my theory, is it not possible that people who are on a fully carnivore diet, the benefits are not coming from the fact that they're fully carnivore and more from the fact that they have cut out all like processed things and sugars and like preservatives and oils and like all of the nasty modern things that are really not good for you? I have a feeling that has a large part to do with it. Carnivore diet eliminates highly nutritious foods like fruits, vegetables, legumes, and whole grains, all of which contain beneficial vitamins and minerals. Yeah, this is like a big part of the argument. Like if you are not getting your nutrients vitamins and minerals from fruits and vegetables, where are you getting them from? Do meat sources contain all of the vitamins and minerals that your body would need? Sean Baker thinks they do. A lot of people do not. Does it provide fiber? We've all been told fiber promotes gut health and promotes healthy bowel movements and is only found in plant foods. Carnivore diet contains no fiber, which may lead to constipation as a side effect. Here's a question. Do people get constipated? Carnivore snacks? I don't want what you're selling, sir. Constipation on a carnivore diet. Causes and remedies. The primal. If you're new to the carnivore diet, you may think meat-based diet causes constipation. You're wrong. There are a lot of misconceptions about fiber and its effects. See, this is the problem with this topic. You're either all in or you're completely against. Is there no one who has nuanced opinions? Belly Bliss Nutrition. This actually looks interesting. Does carnivore diet cause constipation? What are elimination diets? So that's basically what I'm on right now, or what I'm trying to do is like get rid of everything so I can figure out like what's causing inflammation or what's causing problems. So there are a bunch of different elimination diets, including paleo, keto, and AIP. What's that? AIP stands for Autoimmune Protocol. It is a restrict plan. Eliminates the foods that may be contributing to increased inflammation and symptoms of autoimmune conditions such as Hashimoto's thyroiditis. Can be low in carbs and include animal proteins, healthy fats such as fruits and vegetables, but not all nightshades. What's a nightshade? Some versions also eliminate eggs, coffee, and chocolate. It's important to follow with structured foods introductions so you know what is triggering symptoms and what can be successfully added back into the diet. Yeah, so I don't understand how you could do this while still not eliminating all of these other things. I feel like maybe I'm just crazy, but it seems like the only way to do the elimination diet is to get rid of everything and then start adding trigger foods back in. Like my wife was just telling me yesterday about someone who apparently like a standard practice for a lot of elimination diets is chicken and rice to get rid of everything, and then you can start adding foods back in to see what is triggering your symptoms. And apparently this poor woman who went on the elimination diet of chicken and rice, the rice was the problem. As nutritionists, we are not swayed by social media success stories. We protect our clients from false claims. This woman, Pamela, was on a very low-carb diet. She was suffering from long-term chronic constipation, bloating, and fatigue. Just a few weeks of including easier-to-digest carbohydrates, all of these symptoms improved. It's important that any food interventions are short-term and should always include food reintroductions. Yeah, I can get behind that, I think. It doesn't really answer my question about constipation, but except for this one person. Sorry if I'm not swayed by your single person's anecdotal evidence. Sean Baker makes a lot of mention in his book about people groups who have an all-meat diet, like people who live in the really cold climates, Inuits, Alaskan people. So let's look that up. Let's figure out who these people are that he's talking about. People groups with a mainly meat diet. Let's try this one. The history of all meat diets. All right, the history of all meat diets. We are taught that meat is an unhealthy, artery-clogging food that should be avoided like the plague. To the best of my knowledge, the world has yet to produce a civilization which has eaten a vegan diet from childhood through death, whereas there are numerous examples throughout recorded history of people with varying variety of cultural, ethical, and geographical backgrounds who have lived on a mainly meat diet for decades. I think in India, they're mostly vegetarian. Let's look at the carnivore culture, or like more meat-based cultures. Give me the deets. Examples of real people eating mostly meat diets for long periods of time gives us much more powerful information about meat and health than the conventional scientific studies conducted over short periods of time in which one group of people eats a little more meat or a few servings of vegetables than another group of people. Like, sure, okay, let's see the studies on these people. So the meat mongers, the Inuits, the Choctaw, the Masai, Samburu, and Rendille warriors of East Africa, the steppe nomads of Mongolia, the Sioux of South Dakota. The Brazilian Guachos nourished themselves with beef. Doesn't seem like an all beef diet, but okay. They didn't eat any servings of fruits and vegetables in the Arctic. How much fiber is there in a seal or a fish? None. This guy who treated Eskimos in Canada, he said he would sometimes see them eating young willow shoots, like a couple pieces, and they liked them, but they made no attempt at all to grow plants. They would eat some berries, load up by the barrel full to get the berries in the summer months. How did they get all of their vitamins and minerals? Did they have cancer? Were they constipated? Did they get rickets or scurvy? Okay, so she's going to compare the Eskimos with the East African herdsmen. This area of Point Hope, Alaska was the subject of a research study published in 1972. Where is this study? Is there a resources page? Reference. All right, I'm out of time. I'll have to come back to this tomorrow. I'll be back before you know it. Let's keep going. Okay, more than 40 years ago, the remote region of Point Hope, the subject of a research study published in 1972. Whale, seal, and walrus hunting cultures in the world. Researchers found that the incidence of heart disease among Point Hope residents was 10 times lower than in the general Caucasian population. Okay, she keeps referencing these studies. Where are the studies here? Let's look for references. Here we go, references. Let's try this one. Composition of Eskimo food in the northwestern Greenland. I'm not seeing a lot about what they're actually eating. See, seal and fish are the predominant Eskimo food. Okay, so it's not saying that they're 100% meat, but that seal and fish are the main foods they eat. So it looks like that they feel like the rarity of the heart disease in the Greenland Eskimos may be partly explained by a lot of these long words and also the prevalence of diets rich in marine oils. Another reference. Westernizing diets influence fat intake and health in remote Alaska Native communities. This is telling me very little. Diets emphasizing traditional Alaskan Native foods were associated with a fatty acid profile, promoting greater cardiovascular health than diets emphasizing Western foods. Further research needs to be done to evaluate the effects. All right, more references. Traditional foods of the Choctaw. This one consists of caribou meat, marine animals, and fish. All meat products or fish are eaten with local plants, roots, green leaves, berries, or seaweed. So definitely not 100% carnivore. Local foods are usually eaten raw, frozen, and dipped into seal oil or caribou fat. So they're getting nice fat dressings in there. Let's keep referencing. Higher blood pressure among Inuit migrants in Denmark than in Greenland. Not getting a lot out of here either. Blood pressure was lower among the Inuit in Greenland than among the Inuit migrants in Denmark, but the difference was absent systolic pressure or reduced diastolic pressure. The results suggested the blood pressure of the Inuit, especially men, may be responsive to factors related to the modern Western way of life. Although this seems to say that among those who had completed high school, there was no difference between the systolic pressure of the two populations, while the difference for diastolic blood pressure was much less than for those less educated. Interesting. Another reference. Low incidence of cardiovascular disease among the Inuit. What is the evidence? So they're basically the notion that Inuits have low rates of heart disease because they subsist on traditional marine diet is has attained axiomatic status. It's basically everybody thinks this and everybody believes this. But the scientific evidence is uncertain. So their findings were that the evidence for low mortality in the Inuit is fragile and rests on unreliable mortality statistics. Mortality from stroke, however, is higher among the Inuit than in other Western populations. Interesting. Another reference. Some unique biologic characteristics of the Massey. Ooh, here we go. Massey. No abstract. What the heck are you talking about? No abstract. Let's look at the DOI. Oh, here we go. There's at least an abstract to look at. Not the full text, though. Wait, they're talking about the rarity of gallstones? The high ratios of these lipids to cholesterol and bile acids to cholesterol in their gallbladder bile explain the extreme rarity of cholesterol gallstones. All these characteristics may reflect a long-term biologic adaptation of the tribe. It doesn't say anything about their diet, though. 66% calories as fat. Persistent low serum cholesterol and beta lipoprotein levels. They absorb large amounts of dietary cholesterol, but also possess a highly efficient and negative feedback control of endogenous cholesterol, blah, 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 blah. Okay, interesting. Another reference. None of these studies are really citing what the people are eating, other than in passing. Well, those first two kind of referenced it, but the other ones haven't really made mention of it at all, other than the cholesterol itself. Another reference. So many references. 13 pages. Can't highlight it. This is agriculture on the Mongolian steppe. What am I supposed to learn from this? How is agriculture supposed to help me understand the carnivore diet better? Let me see if I can control F for some stuff and see if I can find anything. Meat. The population as a whole was to eat vegetables, not meat. Required the clergy to eat onions. I don't know if that's relevant or not. They needed to supplement their diet of meat, milk, and milk products. So definitely not only eating meat. Maybe eating a lot of meat, but not only meat. I'm not sure why she referenced this article. It doesn't seem like it's in support of her point. Maybe she talked about it later on in the article. Okay, let's see. Okay, let's try this one. The paper is only available as a PDF. Oh, another 18 pages. Oh man. Also, this was published in 1930. Come on now. Prolonged meat diet with a study of kidney functions and ketosis. 2 normal men volunteered to live solely on meat for 1 year. Ah, interesting. Okay. which gave us an unusual opportunity of studying the effects of this diet. The term meat, as used by us, includes both the lean and fat portions of the animal. The subjects derived most of their calories from fat, and diet was quite different from that one. Okay, this could be interesting. It is well known that Eskimos have lived on almost exclusive meat diet for generations. Stephenson, in particular, has demonstrated that it's feasible for travelers in the Arctic region to live off the country, which means living on meat alone. He spent 11 years exploring the Arctic, during 9 years of which he lived almost exclusively on meat. Dang, Gina. So Stephenson and Anderson agreed to eat nothing but meat for 1 year, while they continued their usual activities in the temperate climate of New York. Dang, Gina. Okay, this is wild. Okay, I ended up reading through pretty much this whole thing because, whoa, so interesting. Anyways, summary and conclusions. 2 men lived on an exclusive meat diet for 1 year, and third man for 10 days. He was like one of the scientists, and we couldn't get into it, I guess. The meat diet was their choice of the individuals. Protein content. At the end of the year, the subjects were mentally alert, physically active, and showed no specific physical changes in any system. During the first week, all 3 men lost weight due to a shift in water content. Thereafter, their weights remained practically constant. In the prolonged test, the blood pressure of one man remained constant, the systolic pressure of the other decreased 20 mm, and the diastolic pressure remained uniform. The control of the bowels was not disturbed while the subjects were prescribed meat diet. In one instance, when the proportion of meat calories in the diet exceeded 40%, a diarrhea developed. Interesting. So that kind of I know it's only 2 guys, but it kind of flies in the face of the you need fiber to poop argument. Vitamin deficiencies did not appear. I get it. Was in the 1930s, so I don't know how accurate or how thorough this study was, but it's pretty compelling. It's very interesting at the very least. While on the meat diet, the men metabolized foodstuffs. In these trained subjects, the clinical observations and laboratory studies gave no evidence that any ill effects had occurred from the prolonged use of exclusive meat diet. Interesting. Now that's a source. Come on now. Okay, now that I've looked through all of her sources, let me go back to where I was and keep reading through this. I don't know. Honestly, a lot of this is basically, I feel like we already covered all this stuff just looking at this references. If meat-saturated fat and cholesterol are supposed to cause heart disease, and if colorful, fiber-rich fruits and vegetables are supposed to protect us from heart disease, why didn't these people, who were eating much more meat and far less plant food, suffer from heart disease and all the health problems we associate with heart disease risk, such as high blood pressure, obesity, and high triglycerides? I'm not sure that the references she was citing really support this, but it's a decent point. I also didn't read any of the actual studies. I just read the abstracts, so that might be part of what is causing confusion on my part. I think I'm done with this article. I kind of feel bad that I'm not getting into more of the medical details of this, but also it's not really my strong suit. So why don't I just look at reviews or testimonials, people who went on this diet. And I don't want to look at people who went on this diet and had a good experience, because I feel like it's either you're completely for this topic or you're completely against it. So let's look at people who had a bad experience on the carnivore diet. People who started eating only meat, got 6 months in and were like, this is ruining my life, I have to stop, or something like that. Because I know there's a lot of arguments. I know a lot of carnivores will say that about vegans or other people, but let's look and see. People who tried the carnivore diet and had a bad experience. All right, I'm actually out of time right now, but I will come back tomorrow and keep looking into this. Did you miss me? Let's see what Reddit has to say. If anybody had a bad experience, they'd probably talk about it on Reddit, right? Has anyone had any bad experience from trying carnivore? This guy doesn't think so. Best argument is that long-term is largely untested. Where are these people that have been doing it for over 2 decades? I want to know where those people are. Because most other diets are known to be unhealthy, it's not much of an argument. I think he means diets losing weight diets, which, I don't disagree there. This guy makes some good points. A lot of the negative experiences from trying carnivore, people who never made it past the adaptation period and assumed they would be permanently stuck with constipation and fatigue. So full disclosure, I have actually been on the carnivore diet for the last 4 days, and there has definitely been an adaptation period for me. The first day was the worst. I got some pretty bad headaches and I felt not very good. But after that first day, I felt relatively normal. I haven't had any constipation, or I keep waking up in the middle of the night feeling nauseous, but that's pretty much it. I feel pretty normal throughout the day now. I would really love to eat a piece of fruit though. I have also still been drinking coffee, so that helps. Okay, I'm not finding people who had a bad experience here. Let's try this person. Yates Nutrition. Carnivore Dietitian Review. Is this going to give us people who had a bad experience? Probably not. How does it work? Proposed benefits. He gives a lot of detailed input about what are the proposed health benefits. He goes into a lot of detail. Does it work, though? There's zero published evidence regarding humans following a carnivore diet. That is not correct. It is one of the most dangerous diet trends to date. Okay, but here's my question. If it's so dangerous, I feel like a lot of people keep saying this. Where are all the horror stories? Like, where are all the people who got super sick and or died or like were in really poor health? Where are all those people? Because there's plenty of people willing to be like, I had a great time. I tried the carnivore diet and it broke me after 3 days. What if I end up like the guy who had to have 28 pounds of feces surgically removed? What? And constipated from birth was carrying over 28 pounds. Is this carnivore related? Holy crap, that is horrifying. Nope, not carnivore related. This guy is 6 feet, 200 pounds. Day 1, he started with scrambled eggs, went shopping at the store. Day 2, he would kill for carbs. Day 3, nothing but beef, eggs, and cheddar cheese. Why is he eating cheddar cheese? That's not strict. He said he has zero energy and he feels like he's punching underwater. Okay, so basically this guy sounds like a pretty strong case of like he didn't get past the adjustment phase, which, I mean, like, okay, it's definitely going to be worse for some people than it is for others. But I feel like it's been pretty well documented that there is an adjustment phase. You have to kind of go through it for like a couple days or a week before it starts to feel better. Also, this guy said he had the flu like right before he started, so that might have contributed. Also, he did a really intense workout like the second day in. Maybe not the best idea. Also, he has no self-control. He was hanging out with the friends and they were eating caprese salad and sweet potatoes and steak, it looks like. And he tried one piece of sweet potato and then he ate the rest of the pan. Yeah, maybe not the best anecdote. Let's see, let's try this guy. YouTube video. Okay, I don't have time to watch your whole 16-minute YouTube video, sir. Can I get your transcript and just read it? He goes through his story about why he started the carnivore diet. He did try a couple different diet exercise things. He was overweight. He wanted to lose weight. He was doing the yo-yo dieting where he would lose weight on the diet and then go back up without the diet. So he tried going keto first, 5 or 6 months. It worked pretty well. He started eating only meat, butter, and eggs, but he hadn't started an exercising program. Wasn't doing much cardio or resistance training at that point. He was listening to experts like Dr. Lane Norton. I haven't heard about that person, but I'm sure they are famous-ish. So once he really started exercising more than doing like a lot of actual exercise, his muscles started getting really sore. He started following other influencers who weren't carnivore diet influencers, who told them he needed carbs for his muscles, like muscle maintenance, muscle repair. This transcript says, I'll admit, I just love cocaine. I think that was meant to be cooking, but okay. Basically, the ill effects that he experienced was sore muscles, and it sounds like he wanted to cook, and also he's very susceptible to influencers. That's the takeaway here, which, I mean, let's be real, aren't we all? I definitely am. Let's try this one. 7 reasons the carnivore diet is unhealthy. Okay, this also is not a testimonial, though. Where are the people saying they had a bad experience? May turn on cancer pathways. Amino acids are about consuming large daily doses of pro-inflammatory amino acids. Not a great idea. Okay, I don't understand, like, why, what is the logic behind, like, eating meat causes cancer? Like, how? To the best of my knowledge, cancer is caused by a mutation in your genes. Is that going to be caused by meat? Let me just double check that cancer is caused by mutation. Is cancer caused by mutations? According to this, it's caused by a change in or damage to one or more genes. Genes that have mutations that are linked to cancer are sometimes called cancer genes. Okay, sort of. So broken or damaged genes are what cause cancer. So how is that contributing? How is meat contributing to that? This person is saying it's due to amino acid ingestion. So let's look into that. How would amino acids cause cancer? Let's try this one. Amino acids in cancer. Okay, this is too much for me. It seems like the amino acids are being used as nutrients for the cancer, maybe. They serve as energy sources and help maintain redox balance. This is too much for me. I'm clever, but not that clever. What about this one? Protein and amino acid restriction, aging and disease. Wait, what? Many of the effects of dietary restriction on longevity and health span in model organisms has been linked to reduced protein and amino acids and the stimulation of specific nutrient signaling pathways. Protein or essential AA restriction extended both lifespan and health span in rodent models. In humans, protein restriction has been associated with reduced cancer, diabetes, and overall mortality. What? Protein restriction? I think I'm a little too biased to be reading this. I don't know that I'm an objective observer anymore. I might need to be pulled off this case. Lowering the intake of proteins can be beneficial and have the potential to be widely adopted and effective in optimizing health span. Interesting. Okay, here's another video. Carnivore diet almost killed me. I was only eating muscle meat. My pain and insomnia. Carnivore diet is very dangerous. Oh, this is just a reaction video. I don't want your freaking reaction video, Dr. Westman. Give me the actual video. Carnivore diet almost killed me. Dr. Westman. There's a reaction video. This one. Oh, there's no letters there. Oh, this makes me skeptical of Dr. Westman right off the bat. Just putting the freaking attention-grabbing words. This guy's not doing that. This guy's just talking. Let me get a transcript of this. I don't have time to listen to your whole video, sir. 16 minutes indeed. Transcript's not coming up for some reason. Let me just watch it and I'll summarize it. Okay. Interesting. Okay, so he basically is just saying that he was eating a ton of red meat. Specifically, okay, so it's a little confusing because initially at the very beginning, he said iron overload. Okay, yeah, so he's still talking about iron. Initially, he said that he had been on the carnivore diet for like 6 years, and then in the 7th year, he started having trouble. But then he said he had been on it for 2 years, and then he started having trouble. I'm confused. But anyways, the main point it seems like he's making is that he was eating basically just straight beef and red meat only, and that caused iron to build up in his system, and then he was having iron overload, like he wasn't sleeping. He had like really bad insomnia, and that was causing a lot of other health issues for him. Okay, so it seems like he's not saying that you shouldn't do the carnivore diet. It seems like he's saying that he fixed the problem by adding in other meats like chicken and fish and pork, and adding in a little dairy as well to kind of like help get the iron out of his system. He goes into a lot of details. It's like very technical. I don't know who this guy is, but it seems like he knows what he's talking about. Also, like, this is a bad experience, but maybe not the bad experience we were looking for, because he's still doing the carnivore diet even after all that. Maybe that's a point in favor of the cult likeness of this diet. There has to be something like people died or something. Has anyone died on the carnivore diet? Let's try this. Behavioral characteristics and self-reported health status among 2,029 adults consuming a carnivore diet. Hey, this is interesting. That's a large population size. Okay, this is the diet. It's got a lot of notoriety, popular attention. Social media survey was conducted. Hey, I'll bet you this is that survey that we were talking about in the very beginning when they said the nutritionists were skeptical. Among adults self-consuming a carnivore diet for less than or equal to 6 months. The results. Of these people, median age was 44, 67% male. 14 months was the median, it looks like. Motivated primarily by health reasons. Red meat consumption was reported as daily or more often by 85%. Under 10% reported consuming vegetables or grains, more often than monthly, I should say. Symptoms included gastrointestinal, muscular, and dermatologic. Participants reported high levels of satisfaction and improvements in overall health, well-being, various medical conditions, and blah, blah, blah. Among a subset reported current lipids, LDL cholesterol was markedly elevated. I think the LDL cholesterol is the bad one that everybody is scared about, whereas HDL cholesterol, the good one, and triglycerides were optimal. Participants with diabetes reported benefits, including reductions in median something and diabetes medication use. That's kind of cool. Cardiovascular disease risk factors were variably affected. The generalizability of these findings and the long-term effects require further study. Okay, so this is actually very interesting. Let me look into this a little bit more because this is intriguing. What little evidence exists for sustainability of carnivore diet derives from historic reports on Arctic or nomadic societies, clinical studies, and accounts on nutrition therapy. Inspired by their experiences, 2 Arctic explorers participated in a study. Hey, this is what we read. The 2 Arctic explorers in that study, the year-long study, on a diet containing only meat. After 1 year, they reported good health and displayed no clinical evidence of any vitamin deficiencies. Okay, their methods. They used an online survey and collected self-reported data. The study was approved by the Boston Children's Hospital Institutional Review Board. Why was it a children's hospital? They got them from open social media communities. These ones, Carnivore Tribe, Facebook, Instagram, zero-carb, zero-carb, Reddit. Here are the results in this table. Participants reported improvements in chronic medical conditions, general health, and aspects of well-being, such as energy, sleep, and strength. Although most queried medical conditions improved the diet, to our knowledge, this is the first modern report on a large group of people habitually consuming few plant foods. Yet, to my knowledge as well, I haven't been able to find anything else. Okay, they make some, it seems like they're just making the same kind of claims that everybody's making about the carnivore diet. It did all of the things that everybody thought it was going to do, all of the pro-carnivore diet people thought it was going to do, which, I mean, you kind of have to, I don't know, I'm starting to see where the nutritionists were coming from now that were opposed to this, because it's like the people that are responding to this survey are probably already pro carnivore diet, and they're maybe willing to kind of like fudge the details a little bit to make it seem more favorable. Is there any way that they controlled for that? Okay, they are kind of accounting for that. Our survey assessed the perception of individuals following a carnivore diet and did not objectively assess diet, nutrition status, health-related outcomes, or confounding health-associated behaviors. These self-reported data are prone to recall and reporting bias, especially for the pre-diet information. Specifically, participants may have started the diet during a time of poor health and perceived subsequent regression to a mean as a benefit of the diet. Being online community members may have resulted in over-reporting of adherence and perceived beneficial effects. Yeah, so they're accounting for this. I mean, so I feel like the kind of study needs to be done, especially at this point when the carnivore diet is so popular and so many people are starting it or curious about it. There needs to be people who are looking into this to say whether or not it's dangerous, because all of the nutritionists that have been talking about it are like, just no, you can't do that. It's super bad for you. But they're not actually trying it out. At this point, people are gonna do it, whether you tell them it's good for you or not. So let's see some actual data, people. Let's see some findings to support one way or the another. Oh, here's interesting. John Baker and Travis Statham helped to develop this survey. Here's an interesting thought. What if instead of being crazy and following a carnivore diet where we eat just meat, why don't we, I feel like, I mean, just the mouth shape alone makes me feel like we're omnivores. We've got sharp teeth for cutting. We've also got flat teeth for grinding, which I don't know if like tigers and wolves have these kind of teeth, but would it not make more sense to maybe try like an unprocessed diet? Like, let's start eating foods that are complete, like eating from raw. Let's make sure that we don't have any kind of additives in our food or like harmful chemicals or like carcinogens. Let's just eat raw fruit and meat that we got from the store. Like, I mean, obviously there's going to be some kind of contamination with like microplastics because things are stored. And like if you're eating fruit, there's going to be pesticides and bad things on there. But why don't we just start off by going back to basics and see if that improves things before going like full on directly into the carnivore diet. Although I will say that one added benefit for me specifically is that I don't have to think about what I'm eating. I just have to cook it, which is like incredible, like so nice, that I just have to be like, oh, what's for lunch? What am I going to bring for lunch? Oh, it's going to be meat. I just have to cook it. What's for dinner? Oh, it's meat. What am I going to eat for breakfast? Oh, right. I don't have to think about it. I just have to cook it, which is like a huge burden off my brain. I don't know how y'all feel, but I hate thinking about what I have to cook for food. Also, it has cut down on my snacking by a lot, because it's so simple. I don't have to be like, oh, well, I was already thinking about what things I could and couldn't eat because I have celiac disease. And I was like, oh, does that have gluten in it? I can't eat it if it doesn't. But now I just have to think, is it meat? No, then I can't eat it. So that is also kind of like mentally has like lifted the mental load by quite a bit, which is nice. So those things are encouraging. Anyways, that's all I got for you. So catch you in the next one. Peace.